Hello, this is a Bluthner Grand Style 7 1893. That's 6 foot 3 inches long, and it's come in for the client's piano come in for assessment. The piano stool that's with it isn't worth repairing. It's too far gone, I think. The key tops are in excellent condition, really good ivory keys, though they do need buffing. They're very, very dull, and that will attract the dirt if they're not buffed. The piano's been exceptionally reconditioned and has been polyestered, and on this side it's cracked. That's usually a sign of dryness, in fact right down the side, so that's probably had a heat source on that side of the piano. The rest of it's not too bad. It's a bit scratched, and on the top here you can see it's lifting off on the music stand. This shouldn't really be veneered, shouldn't really be polyestered. It's be better to have just left it with the wood or possibly a felt on there. Now some sticking of the keys, that's just the front rail. It's probably the polyester's made it a bit thicker. I need to just bring it out a bit more there. The strings, looking up on the strings, have been restrung, pretty well restrung, a very nice tone in the bass. Nice solid tone in the bass there. String length is possibly slightly short, but they're pretty well made strings and sound good. Now it's very flat, so one problem will be if it's pitch raised. It's about 8 beats flat at the moment. Suggests it's not been tuned for ages, and it's been left. It's very dusty as well. It's been left somewhere, not tuned, and as a result of that, these bass strings particularly may well break, because Bluthner bass strings always are scaled so that they're not far off the breaking point. Be a bit worried about that, and if we get breakages, well, that might happen. But if you wanted a concert pitch, let's say there's only about 10% chance of them breaking, but that's reasonably high. The tuning pins are a large tuning pin. That means that the rest plank hasn't been changed, almost definitely. And when we're restoring a Bluthner, we invariably change the rest plank. It's an easy job to do on a Bluthner, but you can see, I don't know if you can see, but the edge there that's black, just there. There we are. That's definitely original Bluthner. It wouldn't be blacked off if it, well, normally not blacked off. It's been replaced. Still, the tuning pins are holding reasonably. They're not incredibly tight. I would have put new rest plank in there. Nevertheless, it's holding its tuning reasonably well, so don't need to change that. The rest of the piano is in good condition. There's no moth in it at all. There's some very weak treble hammers. Now that's because they're slightly, we'll see in a minute what's happened there, but they've been extensively used. Now looking at the hammers inside the piano, you can see the problem here, the spacing. What's happened is these hinges, on the Bluthner particularly, they move quite easily. If the piano dries out, then these screws go loose and then they move over, and if it perhaps absorbs moisture again, it goes tight, or somebody tightens them but doesn't space them out properly. So we're getting quite a lot of difference of tone because of that. Now if you look at the top of the hammers, there's quite a lot of wear in those. There's very extensive wear, that's been used a lot since it's been restored. Really, it's going to the point where you need to change the hammers. Probably could reface these. It's a very expensive job changing them anyway. The rest of the mechanism's working reasonably well. It's not incredibly badly regulated. Needs regulating, but isn't a disaster. Sometimes you get Bluthners that have never been regulated and they're a total disaster. Both the legs and the lyre have been modernised on this. They would have originally been turned. Both the legs and the pedal system would have been turned. The music stand, although that's a Bluthner music stand, it's for a later period of Bluthner, sort of 1920s normally. They vary a bit, but that's the standard one. This is an older Bluthner, would have had a fretted music stand. Now since it's been restored, it has dried out considerably. You can see cracks have opened up on the soundboard. Now that sounds alarming, but in actual fact, as any honest restorer will tell you, it doesn't affect the tone that much. It just tells you it has dried out. Obviously if you restring the piano, you repair the cracks at the same time, but the cracks themselves don't affect. It's the loss of down bearing that does affect the piano. They're generally in good condition here. The problem's on the back of the music stand here. There's lifting veneer, but only one screw there. On the other side, 2 out of 3 screws. So that's a Bluthner Style 7, 6 foot 3, 1893. Been restored at some stage, generally well restored. It's dried out a bit since then. We've seen the hammers have moved around, causing a great variety of tone there. It's been used pretty extensively. The hammers have a lot of wear in them. Need refacing at least, and of course putting them back in the right position. And then piano needs regulating. Those are the main jobs that need doing. Key buffing, because they'll attract loads of dirt if they're not buffed. I think that's the main technical jobs that we looked at. So got potential. And Style 7 Bluthner's a beautiful piano. So. So I think we can manage to restore that and bring it back to a lot of its full potential. Thank you very much for listening.